Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for the launch of Intelligence Fusion 2. It's great to see that so many of you are online today for the webinar. I'm Laura Brown, Head of Sales and Marketing here at Intelligence Fusion, and with me is our CEO and founder, Michael McCabe. We appreciate you all taking the time out to get involved. Michael will soon give you a brief overview of Intelligence Fusion and our journey to launching this new platform. He'll then demo Intelligence Fusion 2 live on screen. We'll be conducting a Q&A at the end of the webinar, but please feel free to ask questions throughout. You can submit a question by clicking on the button underneath your video box. We'll respond to as many as we can at the end. After the Q&A, we'll announce the winner of the 6-month free subscription. But for now, we'll hand you over to Michael to get started.
Good afternoon, everyone. The first thing what I want to do is just really show you the evolution of our platform. So Intelligence Fusion really came from my career. So I started at Aegis using the likes of Falcon View in order to visualize incidents. That was then, I'd take screenshots of those incidents, put them into a Word document, PDF them, and then disseminate them to our client base. From then I went on to Olive Group, where I'd collate information using an Excel spreadsheet. And then what I'd do is I'd actually visualize that data in Google Earth to look for patterns and trends. Again, taking screenshots, so it was a snapshot of that that time, and putting it into a Word document and then PDFing it and sending it on to clients. So in moving on, so after I left Iraq, I went on to form my own consultancy business where I'd conduct maritime intelligence. And again, with this, I was actually using Google Earth KMZs. So I was actually inputting the data direct into Google Earth, adding things like the actual sources of the information, images, videos. I'd also include threat maps. And another key part of this was the fact that I was giving our clients access to some historical data, so for a period of about 6 months. And then moving on to the platform that we're just stopping using now was Intelligence Fusion 1. And the key point with this was the ability to actually disseminate intelligence live. So not only actually collecting, processing and disseminating that information live, but then also giving access to our clients to all of our information. So a key thing was actually empowering our users with all the data. And that really brings us up to date now with Intelligence Fusion 2.0. Now, the key thing is Intelligence Fusion 2.0 is based on 3.5 years use and feedback from our users and clients, which is fed into the build of our new platform. So exactly how does Intelligence Fusion 2 work? So we begin with incident collection, and that comes from our internal team. So we've got 40 analysts. We've also got our own associate analyst network, which is about 180 people. And then we've got a source network of 3,000 people who we can ask questions of around the world. And that really feeds into the crowdsourcing side, and that's something that we really want to push on with more going forward in 2019. So we want to create an active network of users around the world who are actually feeding us with information and helping us to create the foremost intelligence set globally. And then finally, with the data mining and the artificial intelligence, which is coming in early 2019. So we're working on this project at the moment. So we've got a historical database of 200,000 incidents, and each one of those comes with a source. So we know exactly where our information comes from. Now the key thing is for that machine to go out there and grab that information as soon as it appears on social media or local media and Western media and give it to our analysts, who can then go through the processing aspect of it. So they'll go through the steps for intelligence doctrine of collation, evaluation, analysis and integration and interpretation. Then once they're happy with that incident, they'll then upload it to our platform and disseminate it either via Intelligence Fusion 2 or via an API or via our bespoke system. So at the moment we're collecting 10,000 incidents per month. With all of those new features and tools, we expect that to at least double, if not significantly, be greater than 20,000. And these are the 5 core features of Intelligence Fusion, which we think are absolutely key to intelligence. So the first one is breadth, so having that global intelligence data feed. The second one is the depth, so having full instant reporting, including detailed context. So wherever possible, we'll follow an incident from start to finish. In terms of accuracy, that's absolutely key for us. So we think we have one of the most, in terms of integrity, our intelligence feed, we think it's one of the foremost that's out there in the market, because we have our own internal training program, and we've put in some new technical tools in place to ensure that fake news doesn't appear on our platform. Speed is key as well, so providing intelligence before it's news. And then finally, analysis, which I think is significantly missing from the sector. So actually analysing and interpreting incidents, so they actually provide the so what to our clients. So what I want to do now is just move on to the demonstration and actually show you our platform. And the easiest way for me to actually show you the way that we work is for me to actually input an incident. So if I just go to report an incident, and I'll click on Start Draft. Now what we're going to do is take a historical incident and show you how we would have reported with this platform. So we're going to take the London Borough Market attack incident. The type of incident there would have been a complex attack, and the summary would have been a big stabbing attack in the area of London Borough Market. We would have added an incident description, so exactly what happened. And we'd have got on that incident as soon as possible, so we would have reported it as an ongoing incident because it went on for at least 15 minutes. Now the time of the incident was 22:06 hours, and it occurred on the 3rd of June 2017. What we can also do with our platform is actually add tags. So for example, terrorism, Islamic State. Additionally, there were multiple attackers in the incident, and they used fake suicide belts. And these tags could be anything. They could be company names, it could be words such as things like anti-Semitism. So really it can be anything. The key point is with the tagging is that we can actually highlight key information and never lose it in an instant. With Intelligence Fusion, we always provide you with our sources, so where we got our information from. So we have the URL of the incident, as well as the title of the article. So this came from Guardian reporters, but there was no name, so we put them down as author unknown. And this came from the Guardian. Now, with Intelligence Fusion 2, we're actually grading sources. So in this case, this was actually confirmed by other sources, and in this case, they were usually, completely reliable. So I can then add that reference. Now, if I move on to next, what we can actually do is highlight where the location was. So London Bridge. And I can actually mark on the map the location as to where the vehicle struck. And save that. I can also highlight the route. That the vehicle took. And the area that was actually impacted by the attack. So it was the Borough Market area. And save that as well. Once I click next, what it's going to tell me to do is actually highlight the location as to where the pin will show on the main map. So I can highlight the central location and confirm, and that will show the incident there. And you can see it's highlighted as an ongoing incident with a pulsing red dot. I can then report that incident and view, and we can then add some more details to it as well. So one thing that we can add is the casualty figures. So in this case, 8 civilians were killed, 44 were injured, and 4 police were injured as well. And I can report those casualties. Also highlight any involved parties. So you had a group in this case who conducted the attack that was Islamic State. And they were the actor, so I can report those as a party. Also impacted were the Metropolitan Police, and they were directly targeted, as well as London civilians. And they were directly targeted as well. We can also add any individuals that were linked to this incident. So, as an example, we can link one of the attackers, Butt, and he was an individual who was part of the group Islamic State, and he was one of the actors involved in the attack. Now what you can see there is that Curragh hasn't come up, but that's just because of the view. So if I expand and then go to the involved parties, Curragh is coming up there as an involved party. We can also highlight any sectors that were impacted by the incident. So in this case, police and law were, as well as retail, transport and logistics, tourism, and certainly medical as well. Now what we also have within our incidents are narratives. Now sometimes with an incident you might have multiple narratives. So it's useful for us to be able to highlight that. And we also have the ability to link incidents as well. So an example of this would be in the case of the Manchester Arena attack. So Salman Abedi's brother and father were arrested in Libya. So we could have linked those incidents together. So that's what goes into an incident. Now what I also want to highlight and show within Intelligence Fusion is the moderation area. So everything that goes into our platform actually comes through moderation. So this is an incident here that I can moderate. I can either forward that onto another analyst, I can reject the incident and give a reason why, or I can improve it and I can change all of the details there. So one thing that I might want to add there was, in this case, involved parties. So for example, the Syrian Arab Army, the actor who conducted the artillery strike. We can also highlight any affected sectors, so in this case military. And we can also do live analysis and comment of the incident. So if I go to this section, I go to the incident description, I can add a comment which highlights the reason why this attack took place. So that's the incident moderation, and then I can approve that incident, and that will be live on our platform. Now, if I show you the main map, there are a few key features that I want to point out. So the first one is our map key. Now, in our old platform, we had 80 incidents. In our new platform, we have 159. Now, the reason why we have such an extensive icon set is because we feel our clients need the ability to actually drill into the information which is key for them. So we have the air category, which includes incidents like air-to-air attack, surface-to-air fire, surface-to-air missile, drone attack. In bombing, we have multiple different types of bombing icons, ranging from IDs to drone IDs, mines and unexploded ordnance, under-vehicle IDs, and hoaxes. Our criminality set is really extensive, and the reason why it's so extensive, especially now, is because there are certain threats which just weren't key threats when I set up Intelligence Fusion 1. So things like acid attacks is key. So we have clients who are asking for, look, I want to see patterns and trends of acid attacks in London, as an example. We've also made the differentiation between things like abduction and false imprisonment and kidnapping. We have icons like attempted murder, burglary and theft, drug possession, corruption, forgery and fraud, harassment, gang activity and hate crime, motor vehicle offences, sexual assault, slavery, multiple different types of trafficking icons, as well as vandalism, vigilantism, and weapons factories. We have a direct weapons category, which includes things like ambushes and small arms fire, weapons caches, grenades, including anti-tank, standard grenade and rocket propelled. We also have hazards which have an impact on things like travel. Indirect weapons, so mortars, cruise missiles, MBRLs. Our maritime icon set includes things like attempted boarding, illegal fishing, mine ships, suspicious sighting and incident. In our other category, we have things like bank runs, chemical weapons, cyber attacks, espionage, industrial and infrastructure incidents, migration, security operations, political incidents, statements and threats, as well as travel disruption and troop movement. In protest, we have things like riots and rock throwing. And then finally, suicide and complex, we have things like mass murder, suicide bomber, vehicle attack, vehicle bomb, and suicide vehicle bomb. So that's our icon set. With our incident panel, what will happen there is, and you can move it around and change the size of it and create any visualization that you want. Incidents as they are reported will drop in through here. Now within an incident, you can either watch that incident and you'll be informed of any updates to it, and that'll be either in-platform notifications or via email alerts. You can also click on I and view any additional information. You can view the incident on a map, or you can click on view the full details. If I just cross that and come back out, we also have the filtering options as well. So with the filtering options, we have the basic filtering. So for example, we can search for a query. So recently the Million Mask March. And that's going to show me any instance linked to that. You can filter by either individual incidents. So for example, ID find, or multiple instances as well. So let me include in there things like ID detonation, explosion, mine and unexploded ordnance, and assault as well. You can also filter by date query, so between certain dates, or before a date, or after a date. You can filter by countries, so say for example Afghanistan, as well as Pakistan, India. Or you can filter by continents. So if we filter for Africa, it will only show any instance in Africa. We can also filter in the basic filtering for any ongoing incidents, so anything that is live at that moment that you need to be aware of, as well as any instance that you're watching. So those are the basic filtering. With the advanced filtering, you have the option to really get rid of any noise that you don't want to see. So say for example, with the advanced filtering and you're from the logistics sector, you can filter by affected sectors. So I only want to include any instance which have an impact on transport and logistics. You can also filter to include particular regions. So I only want to include transport and logistics incidents in Asia. But what I do want to do is I want to exclude Vietnam. So I can exclude a country. And I may want to actually exclude certain instances as well. So let's exclude a category. So I'm not interested in any maritime incidents, so I can exclude that as well. So the key point is with the advanced filtering, you can get rid of that noise completely. You can save these filters. So every time you log into Intelligence Fusion and look at our maps, that's all you're going to see. You're going to see the information which has a direct impact on you and your operations. Now, you might not want to just look at incidents on a map. You might want to look at them as an overview. So here, what we're seeing on the left-hand side are any incidents that are coming through live by our analysts who are reporting them. You can also see any watched incidents as well. We've also got trending themes. Now with trending themes, our proprietary algorithms are actually searching through our data and looking for patterns and trends and reporting them there. And we even have a statistics panel. Now we're doing a bit more work on this at the moment, but what you'll eventually be able to do is actually make statistics of whatever you've filtered for. So if you want to make a comparison of small arms fire incidents between the UK and the US over the last 6 months, you can do that. Or you might want to make a comparison between arrests that have occurred in Manchester and Newcastle over the last 3 weeks. So whatever you want to filter for, you will eventually be able to actually make statistics of that incident. Now with Intelligence Fusion, we've actually built it so it actually operates across multiple different mediums. So if you want to use it on your phone, it's been built with that in mind. So if I go to incidents, this is what you would see as the phone view, or for an iPad as well. So if you want to take Intelligence Fusion from your office out to wherever you're operating, you can do that because it's been built to operate across multiple different areas. So that's the foundation of Intelligence Fusion 2.0, and I should point out that our platform will constantly be developed and upgraded, and this is going to be in line with the requests of our users and also the changing global threat landscape. So I just want to move on to any questions now. So one question that we've got here is, how quickly do we report an incident? Now this varies significantly, and it really depends on the type and the severity of the incidents. So an incident which has a significant impact or is high profile, we will swarm that immediately as a company. So we'll have an alert internally, and we say, look, there's a high profile incident at the moment. There's been a report that Theresa May's convoy has been a vehicle has hit the convoy, which happened earlier on today. And as a company, we'll swarm that incident and gather as much information as possible regarding it. And then we'll continue to update that incident for, I mean, in the case of the Manchester Arena bombing as an example, we were updating that incident for days and weeks afterwards as things like casualty figures were changing. There's a question here in terms of the price points for this service. So an individual subscription to Intelligence Fusion 2.0 is £4,000 per user per year. If a client wanted multiple subscriptions, what we would do is actually offer a sliding scale depending on the quantity and provide a reduction in the individual subscription rate. There are other services though to Intelligence Fusion. So for example, we offer a data feed, so clients can just take via our API a direct data feed from our platform and then visualize that data in your own platform. And it actually comes with a commercial license, so you can then sell that data onto your own client base. We also have the option to create bespoke systems for clients. So we'd use Intelligence Fusion 2.0 as the foundation, and we'd completely rebrand the platform to match your company's logos, as well as coloring. And then what we'd even, if you wanted to actually build new features which are appropriate for your company. And then the final service that we do offer is a bespoke consultancy. So that could be training, it could be bespoke reports, or it could even be an embedded analyst. So we could send one of our trained analysts to go and work with the company. So those are the different services that we provide. A question here about, are we monitoring multilingual information sources? We are. So we have a significant internship program. So this is where our associate analysts come from. Generally, these are postgraduate students, often from multiple different nationalities and multiple different languages, which helps us to have that broad spectrum of languages. So as an example, recently, our analyst who was looking at Pakistan was actually Pakistani. So it helps give us that local context. A question, can we customize alerting for threats against a company? I mean, the key thing for that would be, it'd be down to the filtering. So if you saw all the advanced filters that we had, so you can really filter and drill down to exactly what it is that you want to see. Even it could be drawing a geofence. So if you're a bank, for example, and you've got 20 sites around the world, you can draw a geofence around that area. As soon as something happens within that geofence, we'll actually alert you to say this incident has happened within this geofence. So you can customize the alerting through our filtering. A question about, can we generate a report, for example, monthly incidents? We get this question consistently. We've had it a few times over the past 3 weeks, so it's definitely been added to our product backlog. So whilst we created the platform, we want it to be visually really appealing. So what you can do is just take a screenshot of our platform and put it in our platform and put it into a report as almost a pictorial intelligence summary. You could even do that with our charting as well. But I think certainly for our product backlog, we need the ability to actually filter for certain data and then download it as a PDF or a PowerPoint or an Excel spreadsheet file. So that's certainly on our product backlog for 2019. Just looking at through some of the other questions here. How are incidents primarily created? Are they all manually created by the platform user? So yes, certainly for Intelligence Fusion 1, yes, they have been. Everything that we've ever done, even though we've managed to get to 10,000 incidents per month that we report, all of that has been done manually. And I don't think you can ever remove the human from this. I think sort of the linguistic part of intelligence is too complex to purely have a machine do it. So we always have a human in the element, but that's why we're doing the whole data mining project at the moment. So the responsibility of the machine is to go out there, and as soon as a certain Twitter handle tweets something, that is then grabbed and sent to us so we can actually moderate it, then upload it to our platform. So we'll never get rid of the human element. We'll always have that in place. Are we going to integrate with any travel management platforms? Again, this is one of these other queries in terms of, can you do travel parsing? So as soon as, my organization, I've got some travel assigned to me, can I get immediate reports? That's something that we're adding to our product backlog as well for this year. Do we get alerts in multiple platforms, so mails, apps, and SMS? So at the moment, it's going to be just through in-platform notifications, but also email. But certainly things like SMS is something which I think would be really useful as well. What about doing some predictions based on open data, for example, ACLED? So I certainly think with the data that we're producing, it can be predictive in nature. So when I used to work in Iraq, we would chart the quantities of incidents which have occurred every week. And then we'd kind of look at the overall charts for that year, and I could compare year on year, and I'd see similar patterns and trends. And mainly it was around things like religious festivals or other key dates, political events, these types of things. So I certainly think now we will have the consistency of data with Intelligence Fusion 2.0 and the ability to chart that actually, yes, we can do predictive-based intelligence, and this is all going to come out in the following months once we actually start using the platform as of today. Do we provide 24/7 support to our clients? So the way that we operate as a company is that we have our own internal analysts who run between the hours of 7 and 11, but then we also have associate analysts who are located across the world. So for example, we have an analyst in Canada and we have an analyst in Australia as well. Now with the new platform, I showed the whole moderation area, and the key thing for that was, when our analysts in the UK finish, they can then hand the moderation over to our analysts in places like Australia, for example. So they do take over. So we don't have sort of long periods of downtime when all of our UK analysts are in bed, because it's being handed over to other analysts around the world. Could we add our own assets and facilities to the platform is another question. So with a bespoke platform, absolutely. With a bespoke platform, you can actually highlight, look, these are all my sites, and then it makes it far easier to actually see what implications incidents that have occurred have on your facilities. So yeah, that would have to be done through a bespoke platform. Who are our current clients? So we're in a really interesting position in terms of we are a wholesaler of intelligence. So we'll work with some of the largest private security intelligence companies around the world and actually sell them our own data, which they then sell into their own client bases. But then we'll work with large corporates, the likes of Spotify, Booking.com, these types of organizations. Another question, have we imported all of our previous incidents? Yes, that's what we're doing at this moment. So we've got 200,000 historical incidents, and they are all being imported over. Are they going to be tagged? No. We just don't have the manpower to go through all 200,000. So the key thing for the tagging is that's going to be as of today, and us sort of going forward with that. So it's going to be really interesting for us to be able to pick out these new patterns and trends. Now we have the ability to actually tag and categorize and add themes to incidents. So there's quite a few questions there, some really good questions. What I'll do now is, if we move on to the competition and see who's won 6 months free access to our platform. So we're just using a tool here to auto-generate one of the numbers based on the 202 people who signed up to the webinar. And the winning number is number 79.
Huge congratulations to the winner. I'll be in touch to arrange your account setup. But once again, we really appreciate all of you for joining us on the webinar today. If you're interested in finding out more, or you would like to jump straight into a subscription, get in touch with me. My contact details are on the screen now, and we can get you set up with that account straight away. Regardless, however, I will follow everyone up with an email, just giving you a brief overview of the webinar, as well as giving you the opportunity to provide additional feedback or ask further questions if you didn't get chance, or you think of something after the webinar, and also regarding Intelligence Fusion and our services. There'll also be a recording made available, so if any of you missed the beginning, then I'll share that with you, so you can share that with your network or your colleagues. Like I said, my details are on the screen now, should you wish to get in touch. Thank you all again, and I hope you all have a great weekend. Speak to you soon.